So I just woke up and I saw a very, very interesting video that actually has to do with protesting. Because remember when I had Billy, the one AMC ape that had enough diamond balls of steel to join me in front of the SEC offices in Lower Manhattan? Well, I was told, I actually called up the precinct, which I believe was precinct number 1 in Lower Manhattan. But they said to me, look, if you don't have any type of like a speaker, if you're not using any electronic devices, and if you stay on the sidewalk, this was the key, don't go into the street. Like you can't go into the street. But he said that the police officer who handled this, if you stay on the sidewalk and you do not have a speaker, you don't have like a megaphone, you're not using any type of electronic equipment, even like my keyboard, that would be electronic. He says, you don't need a permit. You don't need a permit. You're good to go. So I said, I just wanted to say this correctly because I was like, I can make up signs. You can make up signs. You could walk down the sidewalk. You got to be on the sidewalk. You can't be in the street. You got to be on the sidewalk. He says, yeah. He says, you could do your thing, man. Hold up your signs. Say what you got to say, against corruption, talk about whatever you want to talk about. He goes, that is your First Amendment right. Okay. So I said, great. And that's what I did, right? But we didn't have signs because I thought apes were going to bring signs, but that's not the point of this video. So there's a guy who was in Tennessee, and I watched him very closely. He never, ever went into the street. He was on the sidewalk at all times. He was walking down the sidewalk. He was not using a speaker. He was not using any type of electronic device or a megaphone, nothing. He was simply walking down the sidewalk in Tennessee, preaching God, preaching the word of Jesus. Was he doing it where his voice was loud? Yes, I admit that. But he wasn't using a speaker. It was just his natural volume of his natural voice, okay? So this is the thing. Someone called the police. And they said to him that he was in violation of one of their noise levels. I didn't even know this existed. Apparently, there is a law that you can't, I guess, yell in public. See, now, that was not explained to me by the officer at the first precinct. I actually asked him this direct question. I said, if I have a protest and I'm on the sidewalk and I have signs and I'm not using a speaker, I'm not using a megaphone. He's like, man, the cop actually said this to me. He goes, you could scream and you could yell bloody murder. We can't do nothing about it. It's your First Amendment right. We can't do nothing about it. But apparently that doesn't seem to be true because they were ready to write this guy a citation that he was in violation of their noise levels. So the guy was like, what does that even mean? I was confused by it. Like noise levels? Like what am I supposed to do? Like go to Radio Shack that they have some kind of like a device that's going to determine like the guy was answering, like what level can I be at? So the police officer in Tennessee said, if I can hear you from 50 feet, he goes, you're in violation. So the guy, I like how the guy was like, he was trying to be rational with the cop. So he was like, so where is 50 feet from where I am right now? He's like, oh, that store over there, right? That sells lollipops already. So if somebody coming out of that store, has a lollipop in their mouth and they can hear me, I'm in violation. He goes, exactly. So he goes, we still live in America, right? This is America? He goes, yeah, so do. And the cop kind of had an attitude a little bit. Like he was just like, look, are we all right? Do you have a problem? Because I'm not going to write you the citation, but I can. So like the cop was just trying to kind of give him a warning, but I don't know. To me, that there's something wrong with that. I have to say, in my opinion, you're not allowed to walk down a sidewalk and preach the word of Jesus Christ, the word of God. I hear people screaming all the time when I walk down, especially in Brooklyn. Oh, forget about it. people are screaming, cursing, laughing with their friends, especially when you're younger. And they're making jokes and they're yelling and they're screaming and they're cursing and they're whatever it is. Like, they joke around like, hooligan kids, they're walking down. I remember when I was a kid, I was walking down 86th Street. We see a pretty girl, we all make a big fuss, Hey, woman, you want to take a ride in my new vehicle? My new vehicle being my bicycle, right? I'm just saying when you're young or whatever. My skateboard, right? You're like, hey, father, you never had a skateboard. I did. I actually did. At one day, but I don't use that no more. I'm too big now. I mean, talking about when I was like 11 years old, 12 years old. But I'm just making a joke. The point is, I know you're gonna be like, hey, father, you never want a skateboard. No, I mean, I can't. I haven't done it in years. I probably could. Listen, the truth is, I roller skate. I had roller skates too. I tried to do that stuff now. Look, I wasn't very good at it. I wasn't very good at it then. And I'll tell you this, if I tried to do it now, I'd probably fall on my ASS. All right. So maybe that would be a good way to get viral, right? You'll see, I actually might be, now I'm thinking about it, that might actually be a great video. Fat, hairy Italian man on skateboard almost kills himself or something. Might be a good idea for a video. So I might be doing that. But anyway, just getting back. So the guy didn't have speakerphone or any type of electronic device, nothing, and no megaphone. He was just walking down the sidewalk, preaching the word of God, and someone called the police on him because he was apparently too loud. So I learned something new today. Now, I don't know if that's the case in New York. I don't know if that's just Tennessee, because the cop told me in the first precinct you could be as loud as you want. You could have a group, he told me, the cop said, of 1,000, 2,000 people walking with you, all holding signs, talking as loud as they want. He said, here was the key. He says, you have to keep moving forward. That was another, oh yeah, I remember. That was another thing the cop told me. He goes, you can't stay in one place. You can't do it. You got to keep moving forward. That was another thing that the guy was doing in Tennessee. He was moving forward. He kept walking, like he wasn't staying in one place. And that's, it's a very strange, odd thing, because I've been to Manhattan many, many times, and I've seen, people preach the word of God, and they were actually staying in one place, but they weren't using, any type of speaker or megaphone, and they didn't get in trouble. I don't know. I mean, I just think this guy was like single-handedly picked out, that people just didn't like him. I mean, he was loud. I'm not going to lie to you. He was loud. I guess there's a certain level where it becomes disturbance of the peace. I don't know, but it is America. We should have the right under the First Amendment to talk about anything we want on the sidewalk and share that with people. And you know what? That's our right as Americans, and especially the word of God. I mean, I hear people cursing, screaming, saying horrific things in some cases. I mean, what's the difference between that and you see those crazy people talking about Armageddon? I see those guys all the time. The end of the world is near. Maybe it's their volume. Maybe it's because they weren't. Maybe if they were like, the end is near. The end is near. Do you hear me? The end is near. Maybe if they did that, there would be a noise complaint. But if they keep it low, like the end is near. This is the end, my only friend. The end. If they kept it medium volume, I think it's okay.